Hey everyone, welcome to Double Take Week. It's our favorite week of the whole month.
Yes, I love Double Take.
I do too. It's always so fun to see how our brains work and what we come up with. I love this challenge. So this month we're tackling the card trick block.
Yeah.
And I think Natalie's gonna go first.
All right, let's do this. All right, so this is my quilt. I'm calling it Midnight Card Trick. I think it turned out really cute. I combined the card trick block with a Quatrefoil block, I just love the way they chain, and and that block is set on point a little bit, so it's really fun. One of the things that kind of made me laugh is I was looking at the card trick block and trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. I started trying to figure out how I wanted to construct the block, and then all of a sudden I had this like moment where I said, I'm just gonna go look up Mom's tutorial. And it was so easy. And I was like, oh, that is exactly what I want to do with that particular block. I don't know why I was just
sometimes
blocked in my mind. That was the challenge block, and I didn't even think to watch the video.
Oh, well, it's adorable. I can't wait to see how it all comes together.
So it's super easy and fun. I think you guys are gonna like it. All right, so to make this quilt, you are gonna need a package of 42 count print squares, and I've used Winding Road by Natalie Barnes for Windham Fabrics. You'll need some background fabric, 3 1/8 yards, and that includes your inner border. I've used Colorworks Premium Solids in Black by Northcott Fabrics. For your outer border, you will need 1.25 yards, and we did a nice 5-inch border. And then for your backing, you'll need 4.5 yards if you have regular 45-inch wide fabric, or if you use a 108, you'll need 2 1/4 yards.
This is such a fun print.
It's beautiful. This whole line is just very vibrant and bright. And I love that we were able to pair it with a darker background because that just makes all the fabrics really just pop.
It really does.
Out. It's been really fun to work with. All right, so are we ready to get started?
I think so.
Okay. All right, so this quilt is made up of 2 blocks. So we have our card trick block here, and then we also have the Quatrefoil block.
So cute.
And I just love how it comes together. It's really, really fun. So we'll start by making our card trick block. We are gonna need some background pieces. So from your background, you're gonna cut some 10-inch squares, some 2.5-inch strips, and I've gotta cut these down. We need some 8.5-inch squares for setting our card trick block on point. I think I'll just cut those when we get to that spot. And then also some 2.5-inch squares. So those are the cuts you'll need from your background. And then from our print squares, we are going to cut the pieces that we need for this block first. When we get to this one, we'll cut for that block.
Perfect.
All right. So for our card trick, we're gonna cut a 4.5-inch rectangle. And you're gonna wanna keep your pieces together because each of these, you need your matching prints to create this little hook that makes the card trick. So we're going to cut this piece, and we are going to then subcut it into 2.5-inch strips or rectangles. So the way that I kind of worked it out in my mind, you need 12, I believe, of the card trick block. And so if you take 3 or 4 squares and kind of cut them all at the same time, you have enough to make all 12.
Okay.
And so I did that and cut them and kept my sets together so that then it was easy for me to go back and put together those blocks. So you could very easily stack them all up and then have them ready to go. So, you know, this would be like one part of 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the same thing for this. We're going to cut 2 2.5-inch strips, and we're going to subcut those down into 2.5-inch squares. And that looks like it was just a little on the big side as far as, oh no, it's because it was a 4.5.
So
I was thinking something isn't right here. If that was a 10-inch square, but no. My brain is just not quite awake yet today. All right, so then we'll have our 2.5-inch squares, and we'll put 1 with each because that is what we need to create our card trick blocks. And then the rest of these can be used in 4 patches for your Quatrefoil.
Perfect.
So those will just go in a separate pile. All right, now I've got the other pieces already cut for the rest of this block. So now it really is just time to lay it out. So what we'll do is we'll have one of these. We're gonna first make our little 4 patch in the middle. And how you lay this out is is totally up to you, but we're gonna probably put this one and then I think that one.
Awesome.
And then as you go through, you'll see that the print has to match and make that little L. So we're gonna put these around this way. It was so easy the way that Mom put this together. I was just kind of floored because the way that I was imagining it, it had like an hourglass in the middle and some half square triangles, and it was obviously doable.
Yeah.
But it was just a little bit more complicated in my head than what I was hoping to work with.
Yes.
And I thought, man, this is going to be kind of hard. But this just makes it so easy. So now we're just going to sew this together.
Okay.
I think we can start with our 4-patch in the middle.
Sounds good.
And I'll give you these 2 pieces here.
There we go. And can I just open them and put them together?
You can open them. Just put those seams in opposite directions so they nest.
Yep. Take a few stitches.
And then I think I'll just hand you these as well. You can sort of chain piece these to keep this part going because we're going to add the...
Oh, okay.
We'll just give you those and I'll press this one. I do like to set my seams. I think it makes everything lay nice and flat.
Yeah, that's one of those little steps that really does make a difference.
It does. And then as you can see, as long as these are touching, you know, you can go ahead and stitch that side down.
Okay.
And I will press these guys.
Want me to add the blue to the other side of this one?
That would be great.
Okay. Make sure that that's going opposites. Yep.
Okay, and then I'm going to hand you the these pieces with their other little black background squares to the corners, so you can do all that.
Okay. There's that
Give
one.
that a press.
Good teamwork.
Yes, it comes together so quick.
It really does.
Every time we do this, I think, man, it would be so nice if everybody could just have that sewing buddy all the
sewing
time.
Always. Yes.
All right, so then now you can see that we're going to add this piece to the bottom and this piece to the top, and we'll have our whole
cute little card trick.
Yeah, I want to make sure and press these to the inside just so that it's easy for nesting.
Perfect.
I know a lot of times we get in a habit of pressing everything to the dark, but sometimes if you pay attention and press those things in opposite directions, it makes piecing a lot easier.
Definitely. So then I can just put those two together now.
And then this one is coming at you in just a sec.
Perfect. Okay. Oops, started a little far in. There we go.
Sometimes I do that just because I don't want the fabric to get sucked under.
One and two.
Nice.
Nest these little spots. Okay, there we go.
Perfect. That's it. That is the main part. Oops. I'm gonna
one little
just a
sneaky
tiny little
thread.
pair of scissors, or the big pair's fine.
Okay, that's the one I can grab.
Easy peasy. I just want to snip that thread so it's not sticking through the top.
Perfect.
Oops. And give this a press, and then it's time to set it on point, because that's the part that gives you that real illusion
that it's
spinning. That it's spinning. Yeah. I think it's really cute.
It's adorable.
Okay. There you have it. We've got our beautiful little card trick block. Okay, so from our background, we're going to grab our 8.5-inch rectangle, and we are just going to cut some 8.5-inch squares. And then these get cut diagonally once. So I'm first going to clean up this first edge. Then we'll go 8.5 over, which is there. And then what we're going to do is just cut this diagonally, and because it's background, it doesn't really matter which side is up or which way they go. And then to set these on point, all I'm going to do, this is just a very Jenny method, we're going to just fold the middles and finger press them so that we have something to match up with. And then I do remember Mom saying, like, if you put the, what is it, like the valley, the peak in the valley or something like that. So the way that this is pressed, if you lay it on top of it, oops, oh gosh, why can't I get that apart? There we go. Sort of face down like that. You can line them up. You could stick a pin in it if you wanted to, but you've got plenty of overhang. So these are going to be, this is going to give you plenty of room. The other thing that's cool to know about this is that if your block that you are combining it with, whatever size it is, you'll be able to square this particular block to match that. So if this was, 11 and a half or 13, you would be able to match it to that size, which I thought was kind of cool.
That is cool.
All right, so that just gets stitched on. We'll do both sides.
Perfect.
Both of our opposite sides first.
Make sure I'm still straight.
Yep.
And same thing. Lining up our little point in the middle there. There we go. My sewing was a little wonky on this side.
That's okay. We got
I was going to say, you'll never know.
Straighten them up because we are going to square this block.
You'll never know in the end.
That's right.
I love that.
No need to worry. I also think, this is just a fun way to play with your blocks anyways, because you could take any blocks, even like orphan blocks. You know how sometimes we'll get maybe antique blocks that don't necessarily all square to the same size. If you wanted to set them on point in this manner, that would give you an opportunity to put those blocks together without them having to
actually
match.
fit. Yes.
All right, so now what we're going to do is fold this in half the other direction. We're going to finger press those middles, and then we're going to lay our setting triangles on the opposite sides again.
You don't trim off your extras?
I was going to say you can if you want to. That is entirely up to you. You can trim it before you stitch or after.
Okay.
But it should overlap both ways. Do you want me to trim it?
No,
Would that
it's
make it
fine.
Easier for you? Let's do one trimmed and then one without. How about that?
That works.
Because you can trim it after or you can trim it before.
Makes sense.
I feel like that is just a preference thing. Some people like to see that point hanging over, and then other people are like, this is weird. So it just is whatever works for you.
You get the same result in the end.
Exactly.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So then we will start here.
Yep.
Make sure. There's one.
And here's this one for this side.
Perfect. Find that little mark.
Yeah, and really as long as like both corner, the little peaks peek out, you'll be fine.
That's all you need to worry about. Perfect. There we go.
Awesome. So now I will go ahead and trim these off because you just don't need that extra bulk. Although it's not a lot, so if you wanted to leave it in, you could. Not a big deal either way. Okay. Get this pressed back. Just think they look so pretty.
They really do. It's so satisfying.
Yeah. Get it all.
And this really is such a fun fabric collection.
It
it's
really
so happy.
is. It's so bright and cheerful. All right, so now we're just going to square it to 12.5 inches, and that's where the having a ruler that's exactly the size you need it is going to come in handy. And then also there's some lines on this that help me out a lot. So you can see that we have these like 45-degree angle lines, and I usually just kind of eyeball it. I look at where all of that stuff hits. You can line up your 45-degree crisscross with the center of your 4 patch to make sure that you get that block really, really centered right in the middle. And then you're just going to trim right around it.
Perfect.
Just trim off all that excess fabric, which, you know, there's quite a bit. So you do have room on this one, but I don't feel like it's so much that I wanted to make my squares smaller.
No, definitely not.
I like having that little bit of play so that I can make everything match up really nice.
Well, and like you said, knowing that you can set it with different blocks and square it accordingly,
you definitely have some room there. Yeah. Now here, I'm just going to turn this.
Make it easier.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn it because, you know, I don't need to be making funky looking cuts. Whoops, I got a little. If you have a spinning mat that you love that can handle a 12.5-inch block, that'd be great, but you can also do the whole like
shift your
just
body.
Turn it around, yeah.
Oh, so cute.
And there we go. Block A is done, so you're just gonna make a few more of those and set them aside. And now we're gonna move on to our little quatrefoil block.
Perfect.
So this one has a couple of fun techniques. One of them is we're gonna make our 4 patches using our full-size squares. So that's where your 10-inch background square and your 10-inch print square is gonna come into play. So we'll do some of these. We're gonna put these right sides together. And you're just going to select a few. I'm sure like actual numbers are written down somewhere, but we're going to draw a line down the middle. Okay. And this is one of those things. I was at a class a couple of weeks ago and somebody said, do I have to make my 4 patches like this? And I said, no.
No.
You don't have to. She said, I really like to just cut squares and sew my squares together. And I said, that's great. Yeah. It's the same thing. As long as you have 4 patches that come out to 4.5.
That's what you're looking for.
It's fine. You can cut them into strips and sew them together and then subcut, whatever. Mm-hmm. This is just a fun hack that makes me feel like I'm doing less sewing. And so I kind of think I enjoy it. I think it's cool. So we're going to sew on both sides of this line and then also on either side of our 10-inch squares.
Perfect.
And so for making the whole quilt, you're going to end up with lots of little bits of 4 patches here that you can mix and match to make them scrappy. I need you to just sew me one little piece so that we can make another scrappy 4 patch so we don't have to do, you know, what you would do for the entire quilt.
Perfect.
What I'm going to do now is cut this in half on that line in between the 2 that we stitched. And then we're going to cut these down into 2.5-inch strips. And you are going to use the edge. You're not going to necessarily go by your seam line, although you do kind of want to make sure that it stays at that 1/4-inch mark. But we're just going to cut these in half. And I'm going to put these aside because what we're going to do next is cut these the opposite direction, still in 2.5-inch segments, just like that. And then you're just going to mix and match these. These end up being little 2.5-inch square segments.
These little segments that are ready to mix up.
Yeah. So we'll press them. I'm going to move that out of my pressing mat. And this is the one I had Misty sew earlier. Oop. The feet came up. All right. And now if you press these all to the dark side, which I know I just did the opposite, but if you press them all to the dark, they will automatically nest when you flip them around. And so then you're going to just flip these and make all of your 4 patches scrappy.
Perfect.
So just mix them up. And you can also use some of the squares from your other cuts. So
awesome.
It's kind of a combination of both techniques, but you know,
either way you get what you
works
need to
so
in
that
the
you
end.
have you just need 4 patches for each block. So let's go ahead and stitch this together, nesting those seams.
Of course.
And then we'll move on to the next piece.
Alrighty.
So this one does use multiple squares and different types of cuts.
There's that.
All right, perfect. There you go. So we've got our 4 patches made for our corners. Now we're going to make the middle section of our block, and that looks like this. This is the, I guess you call it the middle.
Kind of like a petal.
It kind of makes, yeah, a petal or like a square on point. So what you're going to do for that is just grab another square and we're going to cut it down into 4.5-inch squares. Now, I like to just fold it in half and then cut my 4.5 here.
It's a good little time saver.
Then you're just going to cut them all at once. Oop, don't cut your ruler. We're going to turn that and subcut our 4.5-inch squares. So you'll have all 4. Whoops. I think that was my fault.
I was going to say I might have nicked
the blade.
Darn it.
I think I did.
It happens to us all.
Yeah, well, there we go. Okay. So then you'll have these little squares, and what we're going to do is we're going to combine them with our background 2.5-inch squares. And I've got 3 done in this fabric already, so in order to stick with that, we're going to use this piece.
Perfect.
We are going to snowball the 2 top corners, and what we'll do is just sew diagonally from corner to corner. Now you can draw a line if you want, you can mark a line, you can eyeball it, you can press it, whatever you like to do. You can use your seam tape. But yeah, we're just going to corner to corner stitching.
Perfect.
Diagonally.
And I am just going to live on the wild side.
Do it.
And eyeball it. I've sewn a few of these, you know? You get pretty good at it with time.
100%. Okay, so what we'll do next, I'm going to go ahead and trim off this excess, and I just line up. Usually I do a 1/4 inch seam allowance because that is just pretty safe. And then we're going to press it back. Call it like a stitch and flip method, I guess. Probably don't need to really like attack it. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side, crisscrossing that middle so that we get a really nice point and stitch from corner to corner again.
Alrighty. There's that one.
Perfect. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Trim it, press it, and flip it. Do it 3 more times. And we've got what we need to make this block. The middle piece is just another 4.5-inch square cut. So this is going to come out of some of those other cuts that we made earlier. Just
Mix
4.5-inch squares.
Yep.
All right, so to put this block together, we'll start with our center, and then these go facing out with the color, the Prince Touch, and the points point out. Now you could very easily swap this and make it a star.
Yes.
So if you wanted to, you could.
So
we're going to keep our prints touching. That creates that pretty chaining effect. We'll do that one and that one.
Perfect.
So if you want to see, I'll flip it around so you can see it as a star, because I think it's also very cute. I was half tempted
to do the star.
Yes, because I just love stars.
I do too.
I have a thing for stars and quilts. I don't know why, but I feel like it's very traditional and beautiful, and I love stars. So if you love stars too, you could make your whole quilt with stars instead of the square.
Yeah.
But for this quilt, we have them flipped, but that's one of my favorite things about quilting, is how just flipping things around can create a totally different look.
Yep, brand new.
All right, so now we're just going to stitch this together, and you can just use like your chain piecing method, where we're going to join these two, and these two, and then we will join our strips.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
just a big 9 patch.
Yeah, and it goes together and it makes a block that looks just like this one, and this should come out 12.5. If you need to, you can lay your square on it and trim off any little extras that, you know, sometimes our fabric gets a little stretched with pressing, or our seams are a little wide or a little narrow in different places, and that helps your stuff go back together easier.
Absolutely. It's
all
so
right.
cute.
So this one does not have any sashing or cornerstones. You'll notice they go together just like this, every other block, and they just create this beautiful chaining pattern.
I love it.
And I think it looks so fun. So I also added a 2.5-inch inner border and a 5-inch outer border. And then I want to show you, we did some really cute things. So we have these cute little tags that pop up here on the back. I think they're so fun.
Adorable.
You can put a little, it's made with love for, so you can write who you made it to, you can write the year, and these are so cute. They get stitched into the binding and they just look great. And also, isn't this backing beautiful?
It's gorgeous.
I love this fabric.
It is so pretty, and I absolutely love the quilting pattern that you chose in that
so
thread.
This pattern is called Diamond Loops. It's one of our newer patterns, and I just think it's beautiful. I love how we quilted it with this vibrant blue thread. I think it looks great on the background fabric. It comes together in a quilt that is 73 by 73, which I just think it's a great picnic size. It'd be perfect for all kinds of fun things. Throw it in your car and use it out all summer long camping, or build blanket forts out of it. Yeah. I don't know. I just think it's super fun.
I love it.
All right. I think you're up next.
Let's do it. All right, so this is my quilt. I'm calling it 4 of a kind, and to be honest, this was kind of like a personal challenge. I feel like it's inspired by that card trick, the spinning squares, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys.
It's so cute.
Thank you. I love how it turned out. So to make this quilt, you're going to need 1 package of 10-inch squares, and I use this February 26 Cool collection from the Kaffe Collective. You also need some background fabric. I just used Super White from Colorworks, and you need 1 5/8 yards of that. 1 3/8 yard for your sashing fabric, and I pulled this great little dot print from the collection. For your backing fabric, you need 3 1/2 yards with a horizontal seam, or 1 3/4 yards of a 108. And if you have a little 6-inch squaring ruler, that will also come in handy, and a marking tool. So let's get started. So this quilt, actually, you end up with 2 blocks that spin opposite ways as you make them.
Oh, that's cool.
So you have kind of an A block and a B block, but you get them at the same time.
Right.
So
I love that.
yeah, it's pretty fun. And so to begin with, one thing you do need to keep in mind is to make this, you need matching prints of all 40 squares. So you need 20 sets of matching prints. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so for each block, we actually need a total of 4 10-inch squares.
So 2 of each.
2 of each matching.
Okay.
And so we're going to start by cutting these 2, and we are going to cut a 7-inch strip. Oops, got all these rulers here.
Yes, we are ready to go.
Okay, so we'll cut this one into a 7-inch strip, and then I'm going to subcut this into 7-inch squares. Whoops.
Cool.
There we go. That's correct. And then this little bit can just go in your stash. You won't need that. And then on this piece, we're going to cut this into a 2 1/2-inch strip. And we will subcut this into 2 1/2-inch squares.
Awesome.
There we go. Just make our way across here. And you do kind of want to keep your print fabrics together because it will help you later on. So there we go. And now I'll just set that aside for now, and we can get ready to cut this one.
Is that the same cuts?
They are a little different.
Okay.
So different cuts from this one, and we actually cut these 2 squares a little bit different as well. So for these, to begin, we're going to cut a 4 1/2-inch strip off of both of these. So I'll line up my ruler here. There we go. And then of these leftover sections, one of these can go to our stash. We don't need it.
Nice.
And these we will subcut into 4 1/2-inch squares.
Very cool. I'm so intrigued.
It's a lot of little steps, but once you get it all worked out, it's pretty fun how it comes together. Here's this one. And now from this piece, we need to cut a 3-inch strip. And we just need 2 3-inch squares. They keep sticking together. There's like a little static electricity or something happening there. And then this last 2 1/2-inch strip, we will also subcut into 2 1/2-inch squares.
It's a great use of fabric.
Yeah. And the pieces that you have left over are a really nice size.
They're definitely good for other projects.
Yeah.
They're not just crumb piecing.
Exactly. There we go. All right. So now the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of those 3-inch squares, well actually both of them because we need to make 2 of these.
Okay.
And then from our background, we're gonna cut all of that into 2.5-inch strips, and then we're going to subcut those to different sizes.
Okay.
So these first ones are 3 inches.
3 by 2.5.
Exactly.
Okay.
And we'll sew 1 on each side of our center. You're gonna do the exact same thing with both of these.
All right.
And, well, I have some sewn, so I'm just gonna lay these out to save us a bit of time, because there's a lot of sewing.
No worries. I was just gonna stitch
No,
those
you're
right
good.
up.
You're
I'll
good.
wait. Let's see.
And so then these should be 7 inches. That's right. And so
Okay.
then your 2.5 by 7s will go top and bottom. And so you kind of get this square and a square
Yeah.
block, and they look just like this. When you're done, whoops, dang it. Got butterfingers today.
Slippery.
There we go. So you're gonna make 2 identical units just like that.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and set these aside.
Makes my life easy.
Yeah, don't worry, you will get to sew, I promise. And so now we're gonna pull in those 7-inch squares that we cut from our other print,
Okay.
and we're gonna pair these right sides together. Just line those up. And then we are gonna take our ruler and we are gonna draw a line corner to corner. And I'm gonna have you sew on both sides of both of these.
Okay.
So it's a great opportunity to chain piece.
Excellent.
Make sure you can see that line. There we go, there's the first one.
All right, I'll start on this.
And just take your time. We will have a chance to square these up later. And then there is that one once you finish.
Alrighty, I'll give you this piece
Perfect.
and then I'll do the next.
And so then I'm going to go ahead and cut on that drawn line now to trim these 2 apart. There we go. And then we can press these over here at the iron. Move some of this out of the way. So you're going to get 4 little units that look like this.
Alrighty.
Do you want to cut that one in half and I'll
Yes.
keep pressing?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll set that seam, roll it back.
Do these get squared at this point? or
Not
do you...
yet, we can wait.
Okay.
So we will just finish these and then we're going to set them aside for a minute. There's that one. And this one.
That's already a cool block.
I know, right? It's already fun. So there's those 4 that are ready for us. And so now we get to move on to the other half of this, which we're going to use our 4.5-inch squares for. And so then from our background, I've cut some 4.5 and some 6.5-inch pieces here.
Okay.
And then that's when we're going to pull in these little 2.5-inch squares. And so we are going to make sure that we do these in opposite directions. And I've already done a few, so let me just make sure I'm doing it correctly.
Okay.
So we're gonna place this here and we're gonna snowball this one from point to point this way.
Okay.
And this one from point to point this way.
The other direction.
The other direction. They have to be opposites.
Okay, so then this one would go this way, right?
That's right, exactly.
Okay.
And so I'll let you take that to the machine.
Yep, absolutely. And we're sewing on the line.
On the drawn line, that's right.
Okay. Alrighty.
Perfect. Now we can trim those apart. Cut off our little bit of excess here. And And this one. And now we can take this, press it back really quick. There's 1 and 2. It's interesting because this is from the same print, but they look so different because it's just where you cut.
Yeah.
And so then you're going to make sure the print is touching your print square when you put these together, just like so. So if you want to sew this one,
all right,
and then add that.
Okay. That I can do.
Perfect.
It is satisfying when it just lines right up.
Isn't it? Perfect.
There you go.
So we can press this, and then you will repeat this exact same thing 4 times. You need 4 of this little unit to complete your blocks. There we go. And so I have those other 3 done for us. And so now we have these 2 pieces here that we bring in. And so just like we did when we made this, we're going to pair these right sides together now.
Okay.
You do want to kind of match up these points as best as you can. We're going to square, so it's not a huge deal. Actually, this one's a little smaller, so we'll put it on top.
Okay.
And then we are just going to draw our line, corner to corner again.
Ah,
and
so interesting.
You want to make sure you're intersecting that point, that seam there.
Okay.
And I promise it's much more forgiving than you think it's going to be. And so we're just going to draw that line, and you're going to sew on both sides again.
Okay.
And so I will keep prepping these.
I'm doing all 4?
Doing all 4 so we can finish our block.
Okay. Does it need to be kind of scant, or does it
I
matter?
would be a little scant just to make sure you have room to square.
Okay.
It's a great question. And so we will just make our way through these 4 sets, sewing on both sides, and we'll meet you back here when they're all done. I wanted to reiterate just one more time really quick how to make sure you are successful when you're doing this. And so if you look on these 2 blocks, we have the same print squares that we want to line up. So take a minute, line up your halves, make sure that little point is meeting. And if it's helpful for you, absolutely put a pin in there. Because that's really all that matters. The rest of it we will handle as we square it up later. And so then once that point is lined up, you're just going to sew that scant 1/4 inch on both sides of your drawn line.
Okay.
So let's do that for our last one. Then we'll square it up. And she can just flip it around, go right down the other side.
All right, time for the big reveal.
All right. You can kind of test it by just folding back those halves, but look how nice that looks. That's
Very
perfect. Cool. This side looks great. So
right.
Beautiful. Now we can cut on that drawn line. We'll take this over to the ironing board, press these back. Just roll that. There's 1 and 2. I should also point out that these halves at this point are what give you your opposite spinning blocks because they're going in different directions. You can see that here, how the blue hooks this way and then that way. So now let's talk about squaring. So I've got my little 6-inch square ruler, and there are a couple things that I am looking for. I've got the 45. I want that to run as close to possible on that 45 seam line. And then I can check this little square in the middle. I kind of eyeball that. And then I want to be able to get these in the corner. So sometimes you have to just shift just a little bit to make everything work.
Right.
But I would rather have this outer background seam be off from that point than these. These will be much more noticeable.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna square this up now to 6 inches. And then we'll spin this. And now we can cut the other side. And then you just want to add these to the piles that are spinning the same way.
Yep, keep your matching ones together.
That's right. We'll finish off this little guy.
Squaring really is just it's the trick that makes everything look good.
It really does. It just brings everything together so you don't have to fight with it.
Yeah.
And then spin. There we go. And you'll notice I had plenty to square up all of these. So they will just come together great. And so now we get to lay these out into our blocks, and they just simply spin just like so.
Good, nice.
There's one. That's right. And here is block 2. And you'll notice how these prints start to match up, and it gives us that illusion of these cards spinning.
Oh, I love it.
It's so fun. I was just so excited when I figured out that it would work.
Yeah.
It was some tricky quilt math.
That's great.
So I just set these together 4 across by 5 down. So I just cut my sashing strips at 2.5 inches, and then all of your little cornerstones came from those extra 2.5-inch squares that we cut from our prints.
Okay.
So that's where you'll get those. This finishes at 54 inches by 67, so a great little throw or picnic size.
Yeah.
And I quilted it with a new to us pattern called Cakewalk, which is pretty fun.
It's very cute.
And it's got this nice big print on the back. This is actually a 108, but it's just kind of a print from the line that they've blown up to this bigger scale. It's so cute. And then look at these adorable little tags. I love this one, Comfort Level Expert.
They're so fun.
So cute. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'm calling it 4 of a kind, and that's our double take.
Awesome. Well, I think these quilts turned out so great. I had a lot of fun doing the card trick block for our double take.
Yeah, it was super fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed both of these ideas, and we'll see you next month for another fun double take.
That's right. See ya.